Got it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is, if everybody would just say their name, what league they're in, what they did in the previous life, if they had a previous life, and what they're interested in as far as environmental areas go. So let's start with Gail.
Oh, wow. Hi,
Or
I'm
do you want me to
Gail.
start?
You can start if you want.
Okay, I'll start then you guys will have time to think about it a little bit. I'm Sandy Schuster. I am in Jefferson County. I was in healthcare all my life, more than 50 years. And I am interested in what the oil companies are putting out in place of the oil now, which is plastic pellets and chemicals. So those are my two big areas, plastic and chemicals. Okay, now go ahead, Gail. Now that you've got time.
Yeah, hi, I'm Gail Zander Barlow. I'm at La Plata County League. I worked in climate policy in New Mexico, along with sometimes being a librarian. And I would say that my focus is mostly on our need to shift our food to eating more plant-based foods, and well, environmental policy in general, because that's what I did for 25 years. And I am on the energy. I get the stuff that Sandy puts together for the energy group.
Okay.
And
go ahead. You done? Karen, you want to go next?
Karen Artel. I worked in public health. I'm a nurse midwife. My current interest is in oil and gas development and really air quality.
Tony.
Tony Larson, and I live in Denver. I do most of my league work at the state level. I started out working on water issues in the 70s and land use planning and those kinds of things, and then went more to administration. And now I'm back trying to work on issues and items of interest to me.
Jeanette?
I'm Jeanette Hillary. I'm in Boulder. I've been in league a long time. I've been in Colorado 30 years, and I mostly have picked up water issues, but have also followed more recently more trash issues, even though I did trash before I came to Long Island, when I lived on Long Island, and recycling. And so right now I'm still following water issues. I dabbled in the 90s in land use when we needed somebody to cover land use issues, and other environmental planning issues. So that's, I mean, the one thing I came out of the study of hydraulic fracturing 12 years ago, was the air quality issues and how critical air quality was around the siting of oil and gas wells. That was an issue for me.
Janet. You're muted, Janet. There you are.
I'm Janet Chapman, and I'm with Citizens Climate Lobby, which is nonpartisan and national, and we're the Montrose chapter, and we're working on a local climate action plan which is already in effect in Delta County, San Miguel County, and Uray County. We're trying to come up with one for our county. And we have one already structured, but we have to talk the county commissioners into accepting a version of it.
Very good. Nancy. Warren.
Hi, I'm Nancy Warren. So I am a member of the Jefferson County League, and I'm a wildlife biologist, retired from the U.S. Forest Service. And it's hard for me to pick out what environmental issue, but I guess the things I feel really passionate about are climate change and endangered species conservation. So I've been involved with the sustainability group with Jeffco, and then with this state group, although haven't been very active just lately, but I get all the information from the transportation group.
Mariana.
Yes, I'm Mariana Dunn. During my career, I was a teacher, mostly in high school and higher education in the US and overseas. And then I became a fundraiser, a real odd sort of career for an introvert, but you know, you do what you need to do. And we moved back to Boulder about 10 years ago, after many years here and some years in California. And I'm just really concerned about climate change. So I joined Jeanette's climate action team in Boulder County. That's where I am. So, and I like to stay in touch with what this group is doing, even though I'm not formally a member. So
Well, you're welcome to join anytime.
Thank you.
Bonnie. Bonnie, you're on, but we can't hear you. There's something wrong with your microphone or something. Go to Barb while you're trying to fix that.
Want me to go next? Hi.
Yeah,
Barbara,
yeah.
Barbara Dungy with Arapahoe and Douglas counties. I really care about all areas of environmental issues and problems. I'm old enough to remember acid rain, and when I was young, I used to do grassroots lobbying and organizing for one of Ralph Nader's groups. And I can just remember people like James Watt, who believed that it was their religious imperative to use it all up or they'd go to hell. And we don't want to go back to those days or stay in that mindset.
Jane.
Hello, Jane Hamburger. I'm president of the Larimer County League, and I joined the task force because we in Larimer County wanted to bring our pollinator habitat group to the state level and spread the word there. My background is 45 years in education and staff development. And the last 22 years was as an elementary principal in New York, in the Black Dirt agricultural region, where we established 5 gardens at the school. We're the top ranked in achievement in the Tri-County area, and respectful students and a happy staff. So it was nice. Started out with you all with pollinator habitat, but the task force has been such a help to us, to help us through our oil and gas amendment that we'll be talking about in a little bit. So I feel like we're among friends and hope you take it that way.
For sure. Alice.
Okay, this is my third league. I'm in Douglas County right now, but I started out in the 70s with Jefferson County, where I was doing children's laws issues. Then I moved to Connecticut, where I did a lot of government issues, and I was elected to the town council, where wrote a recycling ordinance, and so I kind of got into environment that way. And then when we came here in 91, I joined what was then the Douglas County League, and did a number of things. I was president, so I did a whole bunch of stuff. And then joined the Arapahoe League when Douglas folded. And I guess I started out doing on this committee doing transportation, because we had gotten a Tesla, and so I was interested in EVs. And then I moved to energy, and right now I'd like to get started on plastics. I think plastics is going to be one of the big new issues we really need to work on. So that's where I am right now. Oh, and I did spend 11 years as a pharmacy tech, so that was my working experience.
Eve. New member?
I'm Eve Bingham, and I'm with the Larimer County League, and currently working on this hydraulic fracturing oil and gas development position statement with Jane and Karen. I had a 40-year career as an environmental manager for the mining industry, and I continue just to be, I think, interested in every facet of environment and our impact on it. Someday I'll get around to, it always seemed like a good idea if we could just measure everything we do with like either carbon footprints or water footprints. Because I'm always just real interested in, sometimes we think we're doing a really good job of saving something, and then there's unintended consequences and that kind of thing. So I think I'll just continue to work on it. That's it.
Good. Beth, do you want to speak? Because we can see you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Beth Hendricks. Excuse me, I'm the executive director of the State League. I would say, while I am not an active member of the climate emergency, I am very concerned about plastics, and about the pollinator problem, and about water. I grew up in Los Angeles and regularly had smog alerts when we weren't allowed to have PE. It would have been more harmful to us to exercise because of the air quality. So something I've grown up with, and I'm just real pleased that there are so many people that care a lot. So thank you.
Let's see. Your name isn't Joe, but do you want to go, Joe? That's you, Maggie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my ex-husband, or my husband's, deceased husband's iPad. I'm Maggie Markey. I'm a member of the Arapahoe Douglas League. I'm a retired attorney. I, for the Boulder people who are here, I have been president of the Boulder League, and I also was a Boulder County Commissioner for 8 years, the first woman commissioner in Boulder. Through that and through the league, I became interested in land use issues and then water issues. Took water law when I was in law school. Hoped to work in water law, but never got a chance to do that. In 1989, my husband took a position in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I started practicing law in Charlotte, mainly working in juvenile court. But I did get involved with many of the environmental issues in Charlotte and with the league, and ended up running for county commissioner in Charlotte and served for a couple of years in that position. I've served on all kinds of committees on stormwater and water projects to clean up the water in North Carolina. I've been on the what used to be the regional what is the urban drainage of flood control. It's got a different name now. So you name the committee, I've probably been close to it, if not on it. And I'm interested in water law and water issues. I'm also very interested in climate change and also in forestry. I live in an area that's impacted because we're on the urban wildfire fringe in this area. So I've been spending some time looking at working and getting grants for fire mitigation.
Very good. Pat, I think you might be the last. Sorry, left you to last.
Really, that's okay. Last comes, save the best for last.
Yeah, right.
No, anyway, I have done so many different things with League. I joined League in 1968 after we had moved from the Chicago area to Denver. And I was somewhat going nuts because I had a toddler and was pregnant and came to a new city and I didn't know anyone and I didn't know who to talk to besides my husband. And a neighbor said, would you like to go to a League of Women Voters meeting? I said, sure. What do I do with my kid? She found a babysitter for me. She picked me up and took me to my first League meeting in 1968 or 9, maybe. Anyway, I was so impressed. They were discussing China, our relationships with China. It was before Nixon's trip to open up China, and I just was so impressed with what they knew and what they were talking about. And so I wrote my check for membership that day at that meeting. And
the rest is history.
The rest is history. I've had every job within the Jeffco League that there is, and a couple of them twice in the Jeffco League. I joined the Jeffco League. And eventually, along the way, I earned my CPA and I started my own business. So that was good that I started my own business because my time was mine as far as working versus not working, working for money, working for not money. Anyway, it's been great. And one of the continuing things that I joined, and Sandy was already there on the sustainability committee. I don't know when it started, but I joined in somewhere around 2010. And it's been great working with a great group of people. And we actually formulated the for the Colorado League, a principle, which is listed in the program book, whatever. So I've continued that with sustainability into this. And for a while I worked on the national committee, and that along with immigration are my two passions at this point. And
immigration impact on climate, or climate impact on immigration.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So have I said everything? Who I was, who I am, whatever.
Very good, thank you.
I think
A
Tony.
bunch of interesting, talented ladies. Okay.
I don't think Tony got a chance to.
He is.
Yeah, she did.
Did she? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where I was. Okay.
Yeah, she did. Okay, next, Jane and your group, would you like to present what you have been doing lately?
Some of it. Yeah, Karen and Eve and I are here to talk briefly with you about how we got started in this, where we are along the process and the timeline of doing this, and our hopes for the future. for the work and the amendment that we have done. Although we don't have a formal presentation to you, we do have a finished product that we have sent to the state. We're going to be on their board meeting on the 26th. And once we get their nod to go ahead with this, we will be sending it out to you all to see what it's about. And that's sort of a backward planning presentation of what we're doing, because that's how we hope this ends up. When we started on this, it was a little over a year ago in January 23, and the Larimer County had their program planning meeting. That what came out of that meeting from our environmental action team was a desire to address the changes that had happened in the state's position on hydraulic fracturing. There'd been a lot of changes in the law that would allow us more advocacy toward the positions that we wanted to take and the stance that we wanted to take on environmental fracturing. So I sent my survey off to state of what we had done with all the different teams of from our program planning, and in a part of that was that our environmental action team would like to look at an update to the hydraulic fracturing and told them what it was about. And state said that they thought it was worthy of a restudy, which was really more than we bargained for at the time. But they turned us over to the Climate Emergency Task Force to help us along with that. And state has been very supportive in answering the questions, and what was a new process, certainly for us, and new development with the state in their policy on studies and doing studies and things. So we've kind of been learning together in this. And so our first presentation was to the Climate Emergency Task Force to let you know what we were about. Sandy's first question was, so what is your hypothesis? You remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah. So it got my attention. And it really put us in the mindset of a scientific method as we approach this, that you have this hypothesis of what we translated as being the goal of addressing the changes in oil and gas legislation and adding new developments such as research on the financial assurance, cumulative impacts of hydraulic fracturing, and environmental justice. So those were three areas that we wanted to add. And an important piece of what we were going to do was to build on what the 2013 position had said, that we weren't discounting their work. We were enlarging it and taking it to a updated level. So that's what we've been about. And once we figured out what our hypothesis was and where we were going with it, we developed a timeline of things that were required in doing this study, and things that needed to be accomplished in a step-by-step procedure and process. So after we had talked with the task force, one of our purposes was to invite those participants to spread word that we were looking for researchers and people to assist us according to areas that were affected by hydraulic fracturing, air quality, water quality and use, and the environmental justice and the other things that we were adding to it. So we got a respectable number of people who signed up according to their interests. And you'll see that reflected in the final product of what we included, that you can take a stand on, that you can advocate for, and and that we left it open-ended enough, as the guidelines suggested, that we don't have to do this every 10 years, that you can take what's written and use it in a timeless manner. So that was another piece of what we were trying to achieve. So we got together, we decided what we were going to study. We went about our research. I know that Karen and Eve and I were in such awe of the quality of the product that the researchers turned in. And it's quite impressive, I think. And Eve has put it together into wording that takes into account what people said. Karen has organized us in a way and shared her knowledge with us, particularly in just oil and gas. So when we set our draft, which was the next step in the timeline, was to send out a draft to all of the local leagues, and Karen Sheik helped us to send that out so that those could be included in the local leagues program planning 2024, that they would discuss this if they wanted to and send us feedback. And Karen organized a survey about questions that would help us to finalize this and take into account the feedback from the local leagues. So we did that, and then spent another month and a half assembling that input into what we now consider the final product. The final product is both a position statement that includes all the different areas that we studied, the report that gives the background and the broader picture of what each of those components are, and the resources to include the various scientific journals and medical journals and environmental groups reports, in the environmental justice commissions, and most importantly, the laws that have affected in the past 10 years. It's pretty sizable, and I know the rest of this meeting is going to be about learning about some of those, and so we're kind of interested in that, certainly, and how we fit into what's developing. So where we are, well, somewhere along in this process, when we talked with the state legislative action group, I think was where you were coming from, had also received a copy of our draft, and it was upon your advice that we really look at this as a broader picture than just hydraulic fracturing, that it really was more about oil and gas developments related to hydraulic fracturing, but it went much farther than just monitoring and reporting on hydraulic fracturing. So we did, and that's why you see a name change from where we started out on the hydraulic fracturing amendment to now an oil and gas developments. And so that's what we have sent forward to the state. We're going to talk about it. We talked about it with Arapahoe Douglas last night. They had the widest range, I guess I would describe, of input from our draft, and had participated in the research and writings that we had used to accumulate. And so we took it back to them because they're very heavily involved in hydraulic fracturing that's affecting their area. And they're really hungry to find something that they can use to advocate for what's going on there. So we presented the statement and the materials as we had them at the time. They gave some very good legal advice. Their lawyer on the team was very helpful in how to make this so it can't be argued. And just people who are living this experience also, and what they hope to see, and to make sure that we included the scientific aspect of it. So you'll see those adjustments in what we send forward as the final product after state has looked at it. So in the future then, once the state has signed off on it, the last phase of this is for us to have this traveling roadshow to go to the different local leagues who would invite us to educate them about the amendment, and so that they can do a knowledgeable vote at the state level.
Annual meeting.
Annual meeting, yeah, thank you. Annual meeting to put this amendment into the positions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I am always surprised when people remember what I said about things. And I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Eve or Karen, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't. I think Jane covered it.
She did
Yeah,
a great
same
job.
here. I think Jane did a good job.
Okay. I'm so happy to see that Ann Sutton has joined us because she is our LAC person. Are you still here, Ann? Ooh, she joined us. Maybe she left again. No. Ann, you're still here, aren't you?
Anne was one of our researchers and did the air quality piece. It is a
Well, her name has disappeared, so I don't know what happened. Okay, so we have a lot of bills that were introduced this just almost all at the same time. They came in large numbers recently. Does anybody have a problem with, do you ever go look at bills? Do you know how to look at bills on the website? You go to the League of Women Voters Colorado website, and you go to take action. So it's up at the top. And then you can go to the legislative action report, and there's a master bill tracker, and that will give you all the different bills that are either being followed or supported or opposed or whatever by league. The problem that I find with bills is that the legislature doesn't have an environmental committee. They have they do have an environmental committee, but a lot of stuff doesn't go to the environmental committee because water goes to its committee and energy goes to a different committee. And so then like chemicals would go to the health and environment committee, so that there's not as many environmental actual bills that you can just find in one place. You have to go look around to find them, it's very difficult to keep track of these. But Ann Sutton has done a great job of keeping track. And Jeanette is also another person on LAC. Jeanette, you're still here, aren't you? Were you going to talk about water today? You're muted.
I can quickly say that we supported the bill to encourage continued removal of turf and other things to get more friendly replacements. And that bill has made it through the legislature. I'm not sure if the governor signed it.
That's Senate bill.
Did you want me to talk about a specific bill?
No, you're talking about Senate Bill 005, right?
5.
Right?
Yeah, 5, Senate Bill 5. So that's one water bill. And we've continued over the last few years to support bills. You know, there was a turf removal bill a couple of years ago. Check with your local it may be different in each county. Check with your
Mhm.
county departments to see where the turf removal program is. And there are incentives, there's money incentives to do that. In Boulder County, we did a program with the CSU extension, but and mentioned our Resource Central, which is up to their eyeballs in requests to get turf removed. So we've been doing that. There are 2 dredge and fill bills, as some of you may know. There's a Senate Bill 127 and just dropped yesterday is House Bill 1379. 127 is a bill, it has not had a hearing, it dropped a while ago. They want to put, since the Sackett decision, which was a Supreme Court decision last year, it used to protect waters of the United States, WOTUS. 127 wants to put a dredge and fill permit program in the Department of Natural Resources. There's a lot of concern that this would not cover water quality issues because water quality standards are set within the Department of Public Health and Environment, the Water Quality Control Division, and the Water Quality Control Commission is the one that has adopted those rules. This bill has been, that's sort of a quick summary on it. It's a pretty long bill. The Department of Water Division, along with Speaker McCluskey, just dropped with I had a stakeholder group together, and they've dropped 1349 yesterday. There's no hearing for either of these bills yet concerning the regulation of state waters in response to the recent federal court action where they would require the Water Quality Control Commission to promulgate the rules to do any dredge and fill permitting, because all permitting, which is done in cooperation with the Corps of Engineers and 404 permits and that type of thing, that would be the more appropriate place to have a permitting program. So I just downloaded the 29-page bill, and I have to admit, I have not read it. I had read an earlier draft that had been forwarded to me, and I could totally go along with it. I was opposed to 127 because of the water quality issues and the establishment of an entirely new commission to deal with dredge and fill. And it seemed inappropriate since we already have water quality standards within the Department of Public Health and Environment and the Water Quality Control Commission. So that's about all I can say on that. Is there another water bill that you are?
How about the pipeline safety bill? You're actually reporting on that, right? To the LAC.
And
1357.
No, that's Amy's bill, but I had looked at that bill. It's to be notified anytime there is a leak. It's establishing tighter rules on pipelines that are delivering oil and gas, and setting up tight, response times to different classifications of spills or leaks. And I'm doing a poor job of outlining what's in it. I'm dredging up my memory on the bill without having it in front of me. But it would make it tighter because, and it establishes the amounts of the spills, quantity wise, and then the levels of them. So we are in support of that bill, and it was just heard in committee. I don't believe it it hasn't been killed. So we are supporting that pipeline safety bill.
And the one about landscaping, it has
Oh,
to do
encouraging.
with,
Well, that was
it
the,
has yeah,
the
it has to
turf.
do with, not with people, or with the homes. It has to do with public property, right? Where they're not allowed to put in artificial turf or
Artificial turf, yeah, that's that bill got, is passed, that's through both houses and is on the way to the governor. I believe
Yeah.
that's already been signed.
But I mean, that it doesn't have anything to do with our yards. The one for our yards was passed a couple years ago or last year.
Not right, it has nothing to, it's just adding on to that. They didn't want artificial turf to be put down as a replacement of removal of real turf because it's nasty stuff. It's also got a lot of plastics for those, the rest
It's
of you
made
that
out of plastic, right?
are concerned about plastic. No, so they are trying to get back to more native species of plantings. So removal of not, it would encourage HOAs and municipalities, et cetera, to get medians with useless grass removed and have more native species type of things, but not phony grass or phony plants or plants that are not nice to Colorado. And I don't have my bill
in a way
front of me.
that's going to be kind of sad, but needs to be done. You know, I mean, a lot of the plants that are in medians and things like that.
Well, they can use buffalo grass. They can use buffalo grass.
You can use buffalo grass.
I don't know if they will.
Yeah, buffalo grass is good. And I think if you, previous bill on turf removal has a lot of good suggestions on what you can replace the removal of this other grass and turf. But if you get buffalo grass and other turfs that are suitable for Colorado, then you can get some monies. They're giving people incentives to do that. And apparently a lot of municipalities are trying to take advantage of that.
Thank you, Jeanette. Any questions for Jeanette?
Anne is back.
Oh, I know. There's also a bill on gray water.
Thank you, Jean.
1362. I'm going to report it to the environmental group tomorrow, and it's to promote the use of gray water. As some of you may know, Colorado already has regulations promoting the use of gray water, predominantly for non-potable use. We also do have regulations for gray water to be treated to potable levels. I think we need to look at climate change and the effects some of the communities are having on water deliveries. You do not need to water your golf course with treated water. You can use gray water on it. And
does everyone know what gray water is? Are we talking about all water coming out of a house, or are we just talking about certain appliances?
What this bill is promoting is having it done individually. So you take water from wash machines and tubs and showers and dishwashing, that kind of thing. It wouldn't be what they call black water, which is from toilets. So you're trying to encourage, it means repiping a lot of housing if you wanted to use gray water and get it treated. Denver's got a system in place, I believe. They have a big facility now. And Aurora is starting to look at it because they have such junior water rights that they are looking at ways that they can ban the use of their water where possible. And gray water is a way to do it. And Colorado Springs has been using gray water for a number of years to water their, some of the public parks and golf courses and that kind of thing. So you don't need to, to have the treated water, which is drinking water, used for those purposes. But anyway, it's also allowing in this gray water bill, the county commissioners in some areas to step out of and be exempt from using gray water. And I need to just look at this, but it's mostly encouraging installation of gray water, treatment works in both municipalities and in individual homes.
So it would be treated before it be filtered before it goes out.
It's all treated. It's treated before you apply it.
Okay.
And
that makes me feel better.
Oh yeah, it's treated, Sandy. You will not get your dirty laundry water onto your grass. It gets treated first, and then it gets applied. So
they've been experimenting and doing this now in the Denver metropolitan area. I was on the Metro Sewer Board for a while, and that was back in the late 70s, and they were working on this at that point. So wow. I think they got a lot of practice. They use some of it for farms too.
Yeah, and it really is a way to expand our water use. I mean, depending on what your water right is, you can't reuse all of your water under water law in Colorado, but there's a lot of places that can reuse the water, and let's treat it and see if we can use it for irrigation purposes or other things like that. And they are definitely setting up standards in to readdress looking at total potable water, drinking water in reuse for gray water. And because we don't have enough water.
I think they're doing that in Aurora already.
Denver's definitely got some, and Aurora's looking at it. I mean, there's a number of places in Colorado that are looking at it, and the Water Quality Control Division and Commission have been looking at doing some regulation and seeing how this could be applied.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. You came through in the pinch. Okay, does anybody else have any bills they want to talk about before I go to Ann? Oh, okay. Joe?
I have House Bill 1352, if you want me to talk about that now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. House Bill 1352 concerns measures to increase access to affordable appliances for a healthy community. It was assigned to the Business and Economic Development Committees and also Energy. The legislative declaration states that the General Assembly finds and determines the rising temperatures are increasing the demand for air conditioners. And the common types of air conditioners can also provide winter heating if they are configured as heat pumps, which are more environmentally friendly options than other types of HVAC. Heat pumps do not combust fossil fuels. Heat pumps greatly reduce the health impacts associated with indoor and outdoor air pollution, which adversely impact health, including asthma, cardiovascular illnesses, neurological problems, certain cancers, and premature deaths. Heat pumps emit fewer greenhouse gases and can help reduce climate change. The most economical time to add air conditioners and heat pumps is when a new home or building is constructed or when an existing air conditioner is replaced. Tax incentives and rebates from the Federal Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 and the state funds can make for negative incremental costs for this new technology. Colorado should take advantage of this federal opportunity to create a more affordable and environmentally friendly housing market and industry. And now to go to what's in the bill. After January 1, 2027, no air conditioners would be allowed for sale or distribution unless they can operate as a heat pump in heating mode. An energy fund would be created in the state treasurer's office, which would consist of money transferred from the general fund, money received from the Colorado Energy Office, or money received from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, which was a federal act, or any other funds that might be available. It would allow a point of sale rebate for income qualified households. And that means households that earn up to 80% of the area median income. There are other provisions included in order to implement this program. There would also be tax credits and for contractors and home builders to install eligible either cold climate heat pumps or ground source heat pumps. This bill proposes a $5,000 tax credit with an additional tax credit of $1,000 if the builder meets certain requirements, such as working in a disproportionately impacted community. After January 1, 2025, new buildings that receive state financial assistance for construction must use products certified by the Energy Star program, with some exceptions to that requirement. And there's also a requirement in the bill that new products such as residential windows or doors or skylights that are for sale must meet the recent edition of the International Energy Conservation Code for Climate Zone 5. So that bill was in committee this afternoon, and I don't know what has happened with it, but I think it's great. I hope it does well and that we are able to implement the concepts that they've included in this. So
It really sounds good, doesn't it? Wow.
it really sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very positive. So
Thank you.
keep your eye out for House Bill 1352. Okay.
Thank you, Maggie.
Mhm.
Anne, how you doing? I see you're back. Anne, are you there? She is on her phone, and she has been testifying at the PFAS hearing today, which is the Forever Chemicals bill. It's a bill, Senate Bill 81, and it's the Natural Resources and Environment, and it passed 2 committees, and she went to testify today, but it was supposed to start at 1 o'clock, but or no, I think it was supposed to start at 1 o'clock, but it hadn't started when our meeting started. So that's one of the things about going to these hearings, is that you get on there and nobody says anything and nothing starts, and you have to just wait till everybody gets there and starts. And there's something going on, but we don't know what it is.
She's online rather than on her phone, and she's accessing through the internet, and she's muted. And she always has been muted.
Yeah, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Ann? She was supposed to go on her phone. She said she was going to try to use her phone, but anyway. Okay, well, I have a bill. I have Senate Bill 150 that has already gone through the whole Senate and is going to the House and should be heard sometime, but I don't know when. We supported this bill because it prevents the proliferation of companies to burn solid waste and create fuel and other products by burning. We don't have any of these burning waste companies in Colorado yet, but they are popping up all over the country. And what this bill will do, if it passes through the House and gets signed, it will keep companies from actually creating burning situations for plastics and all garbage. And plastics put out just tremendous amounts of chemicals when they're burned, because they're made of chemicals. Regardless of what is being burned, though, the waste incineration creates particulate matter, which cause heart and lung diseases, heavy metals, which cause neurological diseases, and toxic chemicals, which cause cancer and other health problems. So they enter the air, they enter the water, and the food supply near incinerators. And of course, that makes it so that they probably would put it down near one of the poorer neighborhoods, so that because that's where these things end up. Waste incineration may increase the risk of cancers, birth defects, and other adverse health impacts. A number of the emitted substances do not break down. They spread out everywhere, and they already have spread out everywhere, and we need to stop them rather than letting more of them proliferate. So that's Senate Bill 150, and hopefully it will continue to go. I was kind of surprised it got through the House or the Senate as easily as it did. So let's see about the House. Let's see, what else is there? Anybody else have a bill they want to bring up?
Sandy, I just wanted to comment that I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina back in the 1990s, and the county, I think it was a county, but it might have been the city, was induced to build an incinerator. They did so at substantial cost, and you know that thing never operated. It was just a complete bust.
It wasn't allowed to operate by the government, or what was the problem?
I don't really remember the problem now, but I suspect it may well have had to do with air pollution.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have enough air pollution without adding to it.
Right.
Some of the other bills that are, let's see, gray water. There is a bill called Cumulative Impacts and Environmental Justice that Ann was going to report on. It's House Bill 1338, and it implements environmental justice, the Environmental Justice Act of 2021, examining the rules for petroleum refineries. And that one is in committee and will be heard on March 21st. Supposedly. There's some air quality ones. Tony, did you want to do anything on air quality? Are you still here, Tony? There you are. You're muted.
Right. I'm only following that one bill that has to do with environmental justice and trying to go back and change some things so that the people who are living in poorer communities will have safer air, safer water, better roads, so forth and so on. I have been working in, speaking of taking time, on the conduct of elections initiatives. So I haven't been able to focus very much on the environmental things. And this is the conduct of elections is something that'll be on, or hopefully it'll be out for signatures before too much longer and then be on the ballot.
So it's a referendum.
Ranked choice voting. It's having petitions for all the official offices that are at the state level. There's quite a bit going on, so you'll all be interested in hearing all those details.
Yes, we will. Just get finished with one signature, ballot signature, and then we'll have to start another one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So there were three air quality bills. One requires oil and gas permits and additional requirements for non-attainment because we can't attain the right standards for the EPA to be happy with our air. So we just keep getting into non-attainment, and so these bills are very necessary because we're not going to get funds from the federal government if we don't have them, if we don't meet them, and we have never met them. We were just about getting there, and then the emission standards went up, and then we're out of the attainment again. There's another one that affects the industrial manufacturing sector, the same kind of thing. And then a third one that has emission standards for off-road diesel fuel fleets. And apparently many of the oil companies use diesel fuel in their activities that they do. So there's a lot of pushback on that. There is also House Bill 1030, which is railroad safety, and we all know about a couple of recent railroad accidents that were just kind of mind-boggling, especially the one in Ohio, where, speaking of chemicals, the chemicals were released and caused a lot of problems, and probably still are causing problems. We don't really hear about it much, but these safety requirements have to do with train length, having wayside detectors, crossing obstructions, union violation investigations, and fire department training. So apparently the trains are getting longer and longer, and that creates bigger problem as far as keeping track of them and stopping and safety in crossings and things like that. So some of the law is to cut down on train length. I don't know how they're going to do that, since I guess they have to change when they come in from Wyoming or something, or when they come up from the south, they'll have to change what they're doing. Somebody have something to say? No? Okay. And then Anne had another bill. Let's see, somebody needs to mute. Anne had another bill that was increased use of transit, and can you hear that noise? Can everybody hear that?
It's coming from Janet,
No, not me.
but then it's indicating that the noise is coming from your phone.
Just mute yourself, Janet,
It's
okay?
to my hearing aid.
Oh.
Oh,
Do you want to mute there you go.
just mute
Thank you.
yourself. Yeah, okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Increased use of transit. They're hoping to get more transit paths statewide and have more ozone season, like longer seasons for the ozone transit grants and a youth fare free program in transit, which will also be another good thing. That is going to Appropriations Committee in the Senate. It passed 2 committees. So those were the big ones that we pulled out, but there are more bills that are, we can't possibly follow all of them. There's so many. Any comments from anybody for what they see happening? All right, seeing none.
Could I, Sandy,
Yeah,
could I,
Barbie.
this isn't about a new bill, but I've been reading because I've been trying to follow the implementation of the producer responsibility law. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
seeing articles that they're now believing that it will be much, much more expensive to implement than they first estimated, which of course I hate to hear because I wanted it to succeed. So I wonder if anybody has any comments on that.
Well, these are the rules. They're just setting up the rules now for how it will work. And I guess that's one of the things that they ran into when they were setting up the rules, was that it was going to cost a lot more. I think probably the impetus behind it was a lot of people who do recycling, like EcoCycle and companies like that. I think that was the emphasis behind it, and maybe they didn't have all their ducks in a row as far as cost was concerned. But again, it may be just talk, and of course, everything always costs more than what they think it's going to cost.
Yeah.
But it may just be talk that people who are against it will, you know.
I wonder if
Is
this,
it costs for the consumer or costs for the producer
well, they plan to
or
pass
for
it
the
on.
enforcer?
They're saying they'll have to
Either
pass it
way.
on to consumers. And these are reputable, you know, journalism outlets in the state that are talking about this. And so I don't know, but I'm wondering because, you know, the devil's in the details, and maybe we should see if we could get some volunteers to monitor. There's, as I understand it, there's a, I don't know what to call it, like a stakeholders
Yeah.
committee, you know what to call it. And maybe we should be watching this to be sure that it doesn't get hijacked or,
Yeah.
you know, like you say.
I went to a couple of their meetings.
Oh.
It's tough.
Tough
You know,
going, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I get the announcements of when their meetings are, so I'd be happy to send them out to people if they want to go.
Are they virtual or in person?
Yeah, they're virtual.
I
think they're meeting once every couple of weeks or something like that.
I've been trying to put them in the calendars, but yeah, I'm just wondering if that should be monitored just so that
Oh,
nothing
yeah,
goes awry. Yeah.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I know that people from EcoCycle are going to the meetings too, and you know, people who are involved with recycling are going there. But it's such a big process. Think about it. Where they want to do it for the whole state. It's it's like, oh my God, we have a huge logistical problem just thinking about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And a lot of places don't have any trash facilities, you know. So I think they're gonna have to do it piecemeal. I would hope that we wouldn't have to recycle, but we do. I mean, it's just impossible not to recycle. Okay, anything else? Thank you, Barb, for bringing that up. Okay, next month we meet on, I think it's the 18th. I had that written down.
Third
Maggie, do you
Thursday,
remember?
third Thursday is the 18th.
Yeah, 18th. But I can't remember what we were gonna do. Anybody else remember from the steering committee? Well, we will let you know. There's a few people here from the steering committee. Maybe we didn't come up with a plan yet. But there'll be, no, Maggie, you're on mute.
We were originally going to talk about migration, but I think that's been changed. Pat, do you remember what we thought we would put in place of that?
It's been changed, but I can't remember to what. I might have it somewhere in my notes, but
Okay, I'll send out an email about what we're going to be doing next month.
I'll check my notes too. I do keep notes on these things.
All right, everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you, Jane and Eve and Karen for giving us a report. We're excited about your new plan.
Thank you.
Sounds so great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.